Hello, Lindsay from LTYG here. I hope you are well. I'm here again to answer another great Q&A or question and answer this week from one of our amazing readers. The activity and the interaction that I've been getting from you guys has been great. So please do not feel shy if you have any questions and you want to reach out. Please don't hesitate to do so. We love all of these interactions. Our question this week is in response to a blog post that Jeannie wrote using bentonite clay for gut problems. And it reads, I'm drinking bentonite clay, the Sunny's number 7, first thing in the morning and before bed to help with the die-off from a candida cleanse. I find it helpful with that, but I'm extremely bloated and filled with water, especially in my stomach or my gut. I'm essentially distended with water. This happened with other brands as well. Any thoughts on this and how to deal with it? Thanks. Now, there are several scenarios and thoughts that came to my mind when I read this comment and question. So today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, again, based on my own experience that I had with bentonite clay. So number one would be, the first thing that kind of comes to mind is that bloating is a symptom of die-off. So we've touched on it a little bit in other videos, but basically if you are familiar with the Herxheimer reaction or effect, it's basically that die-off of the bad bacteria in your gut. So bloating can sometimes be a symptom of the bentonite clay pulling these dying pathogens out. I actually always experience bloating when I take binders. So for me, you could say this is a quote unquote normal reaction, but again, I know that because I've been doing this for years and it's an experience that I can tolerate and I can, find ways to work with that. So for me, I think, it's a part of that die-off process, again, that we're talking about. But I also make sure at the same time I'm opening all of my detox pathways while on the binders, which brings me to the second thought or scenario that I have for our reader. It's important to open all of those detox pathways or have them already opened while using binders or even for other scenarios like antipathogens and things like that. In my experience, if the toxins being pulled out by the binders were not eliminated properly, I would have a reaction and get sick and herx, and all these different crazy things that would happen to me. So if this was the case, what I did and what I still do to this day is use an infrared sauna supplement with quercetin, take quercetin, and a liver tone supplement. And all of these products are found in the Listen to Your Gut shop. So these helped me to open the detox pathways because that was a big issue for me. And, so then the bentonite clay could express the toxins properly, just like it was created to do. And I'll link all of the products that I've mentioned in the description below, and the first being the Liver Tone product that I use. So why is the liver cleanse or supplementing the liver so important? A lot of people may hear about this, but really be unsure, especially with IBD, what it has to do with anything. So with IBD, most of us, have leaky gut. So in a short synopsis, basically what that means is we have a lot of toxins floating around in the body because they're not being contained in the intestines and gut and everywhere where they could be leaking. So the liver helps remove toxins out of the blood, which is where our toxins would be going if we're having leaky gut. So this is why the liver could really benefit from support because it's doing so much work to try to clean everything out. With IBD, we could have a lot of toxins going on, like I said. So the minerals found in the liver tone product that Jeannie recommends, give the liver directly the boost that it needs for its ability to perform and do what we need it to do. Now, note, however, that Jeannie does make a comment about this, and I'm going to read this quote directly from her, so it's a really important thing that you guys want to listen. So if you have IBD or inflammatory bowel disease, these herbs may be too strong for your gut. So again, we're talking about this liver tone supplement. So she says you may want to wait until you have no bleeding for 2 to 4 months before using these, and then start very slowly and test your tolerance as you go. Now, if you have no bleeding, only inflammation, then start with just a few drops once per day and gradually build up from there if tolerated. Follow the instructions in chapter 2 of Jeannie's book, Listen to Your Gut, for introducing new supplements, which is a fantastic tool if you guys haven't checked it out yet. Now, I personally agree with Jeannie wholeheartedly in what she is saying, because this is a very powerful tool and supplement, but it also really does work well with people who are having reactions, who are herxing like myself, to like clean everything out. Now, I started, again, because I'm very sensitive to certain supplements and different things, I started with just 1 drop, and I worked my way up to 3 drops a day. And one time I tried 4 drops, being a little experimental here, and then even 4 drops for me was too much. So I went back to the 3 drops, listened to my body, respected it, and I said, okay, 3 drops for right now is just fine. That's all my body needed. And it was plenty sufficient. When I take this, I love the feeling. I literally can like feel my body like detoxing everything out. So, possibly like for me, sometimes I go to the bathroom a little bit more, but again, if you're kind of prepping for tests or antipathogens, or you just really have bloating and different things, that type of detoxing could actually be a little bit of a relief, and I used it in that case. Now, as I just mentioned, it's a great prep for antipathogen treatment or other things that may potentially be causing a reaction. The only other thing I would add to Jeannie's recommendations that we talked about earlier would be probably not to mix the liver tone product with antipathogens, like even on the same day, because in my opinion, both cause the liver to work so tremendously hard. Taking both in one day, even if they're separated by food or a couple hours or stuff like that, might just be like way too much detoxing, especially for somebody who's like in an IBD flare. But again, of course, listen to your body, but this is just what I've experienced. So I personally space the liver supplement and any antipathogens. Like I actually space them out by a couple of days. And coming soon, I am gonna share a lot more deets on how I prep for antipathogen to make it smooth, easy, and herx-free transition with all these products. So I will be coming soon with more details on this. Now, the second product that I take while I'm opening those pathways is quercetin. Now, quercetin is actually really cool if you're not familiar with it, because it actually has been known to inhibit the growth of certain bacterial species. And there is a super cool study done on this that I will link in the description below in case you want to look at it. Quercetin also helps support the liver. So again, we're assisting our body in properly eliminating these toxins with binders, helping just to pull all of that out. Now, the third scenario and thought that I wanted to share with you is that the bentonite clay and the bloating that you may be experiencing, sometimes the bentonite clay could actually get stuck in our system. So in this case, if this was me, I would personally go on a full elemental liquid only diet until the bloating and the distillation, and all of that goes down. I would stay away from antipathogens, however. But something like an infrared sauna, again, would be great in sweating and just kind of getting things out. Now, I personally use infrared sauna to, open all of the detox pathways, and in healing for IBD and just as a great healing support. And Jeannie actually wrote a whole blog post on how you can use this with IBD and just as a healing support in general. And I'll link that in the description, the video description below. Now, the fourth that came to mind is the possibility that maybe you just aren't tolerating bentonite clay, that specific binder. So if this is the case, Jeannie wrote a whole blog post actually on activated charcoal and how you can use it as a treatment for Crohn's, and I will link that below too. Now, the fifth thing that came to mind is maybe looking at, the mind-body portion of this issue. Is there a emotional component to this reaction that you keep having, or that's a little bit chronic with this treatment? Any reaction that we have to a supplement or a treatment could have an underlying emotional component, as we may be attaching that healing modality, this supplement, this treatment, again, with a trauma we experienced. So a smell, a sound, a feeling, a sensation that we get in our body from this treatment or supplement, may cause us to go back to a trauma state, and then we have a reaction because it's reminding us of something. This reaction, though, in this situation that we're talking about, is not a result of the current treatment or supplement, but it is our bodies reacting to the trauma, creating a physical response. So let that sink in and just, give that a real good thought, because it's a powerful thing to think about. And this could be because we felt unsafe during the traumatic experience. And so thus our bodies, label this modality, treatment, supplement, whatever you want to call it, as unsafe. And, it starts reacting. Now, this actually happened to me recently, and I'm working on a video and blog post so I can share that experience with all of you. So keep an eye definitely out for that, as it's going to be really interesting to get your guys' thoughts. The sixth thought that came to mind was to make sure to unblock any negative energy that's stuck. So when I tap on these things or reactions that are happening to me, I start, moving things a lot more freer and easily. The free-flowing movement and energy, helps the body, again, to detox. So any emotional blockage that could possibly be happening with, the trauma that we just talked about, or maybe other things, could actually be stopping the detox process from happening and not allowing that bentonite clay to do what it needs to do. Now, as mentioned earlier, we might have, a trauma response to certain healing methods. So this is where the acupressure tapping comes into play. And this is why Jeannie created this awesome course that teaches you how to tap for any issue in the moment, as well as past traumas. So I strongly recommend you try a free session with Jeannie at lasertapping.com. Now, lastly, which would be number 7, is maybe you need to switch up your binder. So again, activated charcoal is a great one. And I've linked Jamie's blog post, in the video description for you. But I've also had great results with another binder called GI Detox. And I'll link that in the description below. So again, with number 7, you may just need to try a different binder, different type of binder. Thanks again so much for tuning in with me today, and I hope this has provided some practical help and help or hope for anyone who is struggling with similar issues. There are always other ways or other options to get through or work through or move through a certain issue. So don't ever feel like you are trapped if one treatment is just not cutting it or it is not working for you. Thank you again for joining me. And as always, happy healing and always listen to your gut.